Hello, hello, good evening. Good evening, AdventureX Steam event. I I hope I'm live and I hope this is being seen by somebody. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Please work. Oh, you know what? There is even a chat I can go to. Hold on one second. Everything. Steam broadcast. If anyone's watching this, I will ask real quick. Oh, here I am. Okay, good. I see myself on the event page. That's encouraging. Um, Hold on. And there is a way to check Steamworks. I just have to open up chat. I don't see chat yet. I don't see chat yet. Oh wait. I'm gonna look at chat on my other. Oh no. Okay, hold on. I gotta adjust my captions as well because they're not quite where they need to be. Hold on. Just oh, new captioner. Okay. Sorry. I'm just looking at myself. Anna Maybe, good to see you. Oh no, okay, hopefully it's just your device that can't hear me. Oh, uh-oh. Anyone else can't hear me? Anyone else can't hear me? Hmm. That's not a good... That's not a good problem to have on this. Hold on, I'm gonna try to turn up myself. Oh, okay. I think it might be, it defaults to muting, potentially. Okay, I think we're good. We're good in all respects. Okay, Stillwell, thank you for coming. Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here for this AdventureX stream event. I'm Julia Minamata, welcome, and I am the developer of The Crimson Diamond, which is a mystery adventure game set in the 1900s in Canada, in Northern Ontario. Okay, yes, you have to unmute. Yes, it defaults to muted for some weird reason, which is really scary. And I'm so sorry if I'm a little delayed in getting to chat. I've streamed with for Steam events in the past, and it's been sometimes there's been a kind of a delay that's pretty severe. So it looks pretty good so far, hopefully. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I've been working on the Crimson Diamond. I showed the Crimson Diamond at AdventureX 2019 and as a demo, and the demo has gone through a lot of iterations since then. And there's a current working version up right now that is available for free on Steam and on itch.io. And please let me know what you think if you play it and if you have any feedback about it. People are still finding bugs, but that's super helpful. And what else am I going to quickly talk about? My particular adventure game is, I don't know if you can tell by the graphics that are kind of around me here. It's kind of old school looking, and the user interface is a text parser, which is not something we see very much nowadays. So some people may not have played this style of game and might have this idea that the old adventure games from the late 80s and early 90s are kind of difficult to play, kind of not that user friendly. But I'm hoping with the Crimson Diamond to make something that will be more approachable for people. It's going to be designed with a lot of that stuff taken into account. All the sort of issues that we all had playing the older games. I'm trying to get rid of some of those things. I'm trying to, I keep saying, sand off the edges of some of those older games. So for instance, I will have a notebook feature. I'll be showing all this in the game as I start to play it. But there's a notebook feature in the game which will keep track of what you need to do so you won't forget what you need to do. There is a tutorial room that I will also be showing to walk people through the text parser interface, because it can be a bit challenging, it can be a bit intimidating if you're not used to that type of interacting with a game, and I wanted to make sure that people would feel comfortable with that and get the basics before they dive right in. Okay, good, so people did have to unmute. So there's that. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is for quickly, I'm going to get into it, but first I'm going to show the trailer for my game in case people, want to look around at what other channels are doing, because I see there's so many amazing games showing right now on this event that I can see people wanting to check back and forth. So I'm going to quickly run the trailer for the game to give you an idea of what the gameplay looks like. And also the track you're going to be hearing in the background for this trailer is the original music composed for the game. The music you're hearing right now is not in the game. It's the Great Canadian Tune Book, that is a MIDI Canadian folk tunes series of like 6 hours of MIDI. So this isn't in it, but the track you'll hear has been composed. It's an original piece by Dan Polakar, the musician that's been working on the game with me. And I've been doing everything else with the game. I do everything but the music, but I also stream, which is something I need to quickly go over. I stream usually on Tuesdays for Crimson Tuesdays at _Maple Mystery. You can see that on the left-hand side of the screen. Left-hand side. Things are mirrored. And I usually stream game dev art, and when Dan can make it, Dan comes in and he composes a musical track for the game pretty much from scratch to almost finished. So that's kind of fun to see. So that's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. But I'm going to start off really quickly with showing the trailer. Here we go.
But that was a long time ago. Now it's quiet, nearly deserted, and some folks aim to keep it that way. Nancy Maple is an aspiring mineralogist assigned to follow the trail of a dazzling diamond. An intriguing cast of characters has converged under one roof, each meaning to get their own way. Or else. Will Nancy untangle the mysteries and machinations before it's too late? Will the sleepy town of Crimson shine once more? Find out in The Crimson Diamond, an upcoming adventure game by Julia Minamata. The Crimson Diamond demo is available on Steam and itch.io for Windows PC and Mac OS.
Okay, so there that is. Oh. Yes, there that is. Oh wow, my sliders for my OBS seem to be going up and down on their own. But yes, that's the trailer, to give you an idea of what the gameplay looks like. I'm going to go over a few more things real quick, and then we're going to get right into it. First thing is, so yeah, here are some of the screenshots from the game. I use the EGA color palette. On my game dev streams, my game art dev streams, I have been upgrading a lot of the introductory sequence art, that if you decide that you do want to download the demo on Steam and play it and watch the introductory sequence, which we will see it when I play it, you'll see a lot of really crude looking art at the beginning, which doesn't give a really good first impression of the game. But after the intro, it gets right into the art that you're seeing right now. And my streaming is just upgrading the introductory sequence art as I go along, and we're slowly making progress. So there's that. Another quick thing I want to get into before we dive right in is I do have a Patreon. I have a Patreon, and every year for the past 3 or 4 years, I have given holiday cards to any $5 Patreon patron who is on the $5 tier at any point by the time I mail out the holiday cards. Last year, I think I mailed the holiday cards out in February. So yeah, you get, I guess the positive spin on that is you get a lot of time to decide whether you want to be in that tier or not. And if you are at the $5 tier, you will get the Christmas card that I still have to design, which is probably the reason why I usually push mailing them out until February. But if you're a new $5 tier Patreon patron, you get this bonus pack. So the bonus pack includes last year's card, the year before's card as a little postcard form, and this postcard, the promotional postcard I would take to events. And just to give you guys an idea of what those look like. So this is the stuff you would get for being a new $5 patron. And I keep all this track of all this on the Patreon stuff. So here's the last year's card. And there is an inside printing here, and I handwrite every one of these, hand address them with a little holiday message. So there's that. And the other part, so this is the year before's card, but this is not a greeting card. This is just an actual card with this on the back. That's the front. If it wants to, at any time it can focus if it likes. I think that's the best we can expect. And then this is a glossy promo postcard I would take to events when I was doing events. And this one also has a back here. It's got a QR code, which takes you to the Steam page and social media stuff too. So there's all that. So this is all the bonus pack that I will send, along with the new design for the card. Okay, still, while you played Colonel's Bequest when you were a kid, you're very excited for a game inspired by Laura Bow. Yes, clearly, I'm extremely inspired by Laura Bow. I did bring a few things down here with me to show. Um, this I don't actually show that often, but yes, I have a Colonel's Bequest. Colonel's Bequest big box. This is, yes, a huge inspiration for me in my game. This was a gift given to me by the Classic Gamers Guild. I am an admin at the Classic Gamers Guild. You'll find that on my newsletter. My newsletter has links along the side, and it's a wonderful community for people who love adventure games and all types of classic games. And you can see there is a signature on this. So I got this signed by Doug Herring, and Doug Herring was the artist who did most of the art, I think, for this game, which is to me the most beautiful game. So there's that. And I do have a newsletter. Speaking of, and it's the Crimson Gazette. It comes out every month. If you go to thecrimsondiamond.com, you'll see like a white rectangle to submit your email address to that. I send that out mid every month, and that just gives you links to the streams I've been on, events and media stuff, and rock facts usually, because I do love rocks. Really, my game is about geology and mineralogy. It's about finding a big diamond up in Crimson, Ontario, and it's basically me smooshing a lot of my interests into something and making a game out of it. So that's kind of why I have rock facts. I have crafting. I do cross stitching. So we've got some cross stitching here. Oh, is the chroma key even on right now? Hold on. I feel like something's getting keyed out and it's kind of bothering me. Filters. Yeah, the chroma key is on. Why is it on? Okay, there we go. So here is, I do cross stitching. These are the characters in the game. I did 2 of these because I was experimenting with embroidery thread colors. Hold on, just don't catch up to here. Okay, yeah, so embroidery thread colors, and also currently working on this bad boy here. So, but yes, so I think one more thing, and then we're gonna get into it. It takes me a while to get into things, but one more thing, and then I promise we'll get into playing the demo. And okay, new captioner. All of a sudden, things disappear. Oh yeah, show and tell. That's right. This is where we need to be. Okay. One more thing. So this is a video. If you're a lover of the Colonel's Bequest, there is a video called Buried Secrets. It's on One Short Eye's YouTube. One Short Eye is a YouTube documentarian who does videos about speedrunning adventure games. So if you're a lover of old adventure games, you'll love his channel. He goes in depth into people speedrunning King's Quest, the Quest for Glory series, all kinds of stuff. He did this, one of his most recent videos was delving into the Colonel's Bequest and the secrets that lie within the code, stuff that you would never know unless you actually got to look at the code. And he spoke to someone who did look at that code and was able to untangle all kinds of amazing things. And I got to be on that as well, talking about the art of the Colonel's Bequest, which is of course a favorite subject of mine. So I do recommend that you do visit One Short Eye on YouTube, check out that video. And also the Speedy Adventures community, they did a short run challenge of the Crimson Diamond demo, which was a lot of fun to see. I think the current world record to complete what I'm about to play for you guys is less than a minute. So we're going to take a lot longer than a minute as we're playing this, but it's kind of amazing what these people can do. Okay, so we're going to actually really get into it now. Turn this off. Okay, and start it up. So this is the version that is what you'll find if you download... No, this is not the version you'll find when you download the demo on Steam. This is my current working version, so you'll see the difference in updated art from the intro sequence here. But before we get into that, like I mentioned, my game is a text parser adventure game, and a lot of people have never played a text parser adventure game. And if you're here at AdventureX, at this AdventureX event, there's a good chance you might be familiar with adventure games with text parsers, or just a lover of adventure games in general. So this might be something to get you introduced if you're not that familiar with text parsers. I've got this tutorial here that you can give a shot. Okay. I really tried to design this game so you could basically play it completely from keyboard with no mouse interaction besides, double clicking to launch it in Windows. Okay, so here's some of the basics of a text parser game. And if you follow a lot of these basic commands in each room that you enter, it'll give you at least a starting point of things that you can look at it and interact with. Okay. So yes, one of the most common commands you will try when you first enter a room is look. So here we're going to try that look command. Move this over. Okay. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to make everything that you might want to look at described in the description for the room. So there's not going to be any surprises about trying to find the right word for something, for instance. So this room, for instance, you see a cupboard and a green door. And it will also list the characters in the room in case you forget people's names. And Jack is here. Jack is the guy over there in the corner. There's also talking and looking at people. You can look at man, woman, you can look at person as well if you're not sure. And that'll also give you a lot of important information potentially about what the person looks like and what they feel like, because as the game progresses, they'll be doing certain things, they'll be feeling different kinds of emotions, and so if you look at them, you'll get some clues about how they're feeling at that particular point in time. Here we go, we can look at Jack. And also, there are also sound effects in the game, so if you hear a sound like the chime designed by Dan as well, if you hear that chime, it sort of indicates that you're on the right track. Right. Okay, and so because I'm doing the tutorial, I'll be doing a few other things with it. I'm not just going to go straight step by step. If you want to, but I do want to show a few things with the text parser. So for instance, if I type look door, it'll say the door is painted green, leads back to the title screen. I don't even remember writing that. That's why I just laughed at my own joke. A lot of this I don't remember. And I'm the only one working on it, so I really have no excuse. But if you also wanted to look, there will be egg on my face if this doesn't work, because again, I do not remember if this works or not. Look green door? No! Okay. What should have happened, and what I should make a note of, is if you look at green door, it should also return the proper response. I wish I remembered this stuff. Okay, we won't deviate too much from the actual tutorial then. We can look at Jack. And you can see I did eliminate the conjunction, which I think at is. I'm not really good at grammar, but I think at is a conjunction, a connecting word. You can get rid of those. You can use them too if you want, and the parser knows to ignore those words. Yes, nothing quite as satisfying as a good use of the puzzle jingle. Dan designed 3 chimes in the game, so you don't hear the same set of chimes every time. There's 3 harmonious sets. Okay, here is Jack. So the first time you look at a character, you will get this overall description of what your first impression of them is, what they look like. Subsequent times you look at them, then those will be more about what they're like at that point in time. So Jack is tall, lean. He's Mr. Richards' employee. We haven't met that person yet, and he is the person who does all the stuff in the lodge. What happens at the beginning of this game, you'll see in the introductory sequence, there's a diamond discovery in Crimson, Ontario. You play Nancy Maple. You get sent up north on the train to Crimson Lodge, and most of the game takes place inside the lodge. Chapter 1, which is the demo on Steam, that is only restricted to the interior of the lodge. Chapter 2, which is going to be in the full game, you'll get to explore outside. And if we do have extra time at the end of this, I will show some of the outside rooms as well. But he is the only person who's doing housekeeping at the lodge. The lodge used to be a functioning inn, but Crimson, Ontario became a bit of a ghost town, and so it's a deserted place. He doesn't have a lot of help. He doesn't have any help really keeping the place up, but they don't really accept any guests anymore, so not as much work as it would be if it was operating at its fullest. And he's also here to help us with the tutorial. So not only does he cook and clean and repair stuff, but he also helps with the tutorial. He is truly the jack of all trades. How do you do? Yeah. So this is all stuff I've already told you guys. So we're going to just proceed. And there's Talk to Jack. One of the beautiful things about the text parser interface is the way that dialogue can be treated in a text parser. So Talk to Jack. So, in the first chapter, your first objective will be to introduce yourself to everybody. The introductory sequence takes you on the journey to Crimson Lodge, and you haven't met anyone yet. So the first section of the game before dinner time is exploring the house, going into the rooms, finding everybody and talking to them, introducing yourself. We can ask him about the tutorial. In the full game, well, the demo as well, you can ask many more things. But Jack is very tight-lipped when you're in the tutorial. And yeah, I try to make the parser as flexible as possible. So if you ask about tutorial, it will ask everybody that's in the room. If there's more than one person, they will give their responses to this question. So it kind of depends. Ask Jack. So let's see if I ask Jack about his parents or something. I don't think he's going to answer this because we're in the tutorial. Yeah, sorry miss, you can't ask me that in the tutorial room. So yeah. He's all business here, but if he's actually business a lot of the time. Sometimes if the characters are too busy, they won't actually talk to you or engage in conversation with you. Okay, we'll ask Jack about tutorial. Right. So there is movement in this game. This game is a point and click adventure game technically because you can use the cursor to point and click to where you would like Nancy to walk. But you don't really need the mouse very much to do movement in this. The default is click to walk, and that's shown by this 2-footprint icon I'll show you. And you can use the arrow keys. I use the arrow keys most of the time. I don't know what speedrunners do. I feel like speedrunners said that the mouse was faster. But yeah, here this is. This is the pretty much most of the pointing and clicking you'll do. You can click. The hotspot on this is the blue pixels. You can walk like this. You can also use the keys like arrow keys to move around. And people who are used to old adventure games, will be more used to the tap and move style of walking that, for instance, Sierra games would have. And that is also, there are a lot of options in here, and one of them is to make this game so that you can tap the directional button once to move in one direction, tap it again to stop. This used to be the default movement option in this game, but the first time I showed it, people did not understand this, and I didn't realize that this is not a popular way to move in adventure games. So I made default would be press and hold to move, and so that's why it's the default here. But of course, if you like your old style Sierra movement, that is an option. Okay, so we're going to ask Jack about inventory. Okay. So there's a few ways to access your inventory. I try to make these things as flexible as possible. You can actually also, I think he'll say in the next line, again I can't remember, you can also use the tab button, because some adventure games let you press the tab button for your inventory. Or you can you can type in inv or press I and enter that. Or yes, tab, there we go. Oh, memory. And here is the inventory, yes. The cursor will change to an I, so you can look at items in your inventory. So we have the newspaper. If you click on the newspaper that you start with in your inventory, you will take a look at it. There's also a loop icon that is between the close button and the eyeball button. You can see a loop, and the loop is your examine. So those are the two actions you can perform in the inventory. This is looking really closely at the newspaper photo, and that gives you a little bit more information about some of the items. Not all of them, but some of them. Okay. There we go. And also, this is something else you can do. Examine objects in the room using the loop, which I actually don't know if I've implemented very much, so... but you can type that in as well. Examine cupboard to learn more about it. So just as an aside, so yeah, I mean, I can look at a few of these things here. So I can look at, this is the loop that we're carrying that allows us to examine things. This is our notebook, which we can open a few other ways. So the notebook is what I was mentioning about keeping track of the objectives that you have to finish to proceed. So in this, we have to look at Jack, talk to Jack, ask Jack about the tutorial, etc. And that this is to examine as well. So we can examine the cupboard. Right, so here it is, just we're looking at the wood. It's a little bit scratched. It's an old cupboard. Yes. Yeah, I don't, this is me just explaining, I don't let you examine every single piece of furniture in the game. But here's that notebook again. So ask Jack about notebook. And it does also have keyboard shortcuts. You don't have to open up your inventory every time to look at this. And this is also an important note. If you simply follow the notebook's prompts, you might miss important details. I realize that sometimes people like to explore freely and ask people questions freely. One of the things about the Colonel's Bequest that I was not crazy about is you could accidentally progress through the game by stumbling into situations, walking in on people, seeing things, all that. And I didn't want to have that in my game. So the Crimson Diamond will tell you explicitly, this is what you need to do to progress the game. In the demo, you need to introduce yourself to all the characters, talk to them, and after you've completed that objective, the notebook says, go to the dining room. And there's a bunch of like asterisks around that, so you know. At least in my current version. I'm not sure about the current version that's available on Steam, but it will say, go to the dining room. And so you know, I can explore however I want, I can talk to anybody, if I go into the dining room, the game will progress. That's as explicit as I make it. If you have to ask someone a certain question to progress the game, I will say explicitly in the notebook, ask so-and-so about this. You don't have to be afraid of asking someone something and progressing the game and not meaning to. I definitely didn't want to have that as a problem. And you can type note or press N to get to that as well. And here it is. Another option I did provide, so this is the inventory item window that you can interact with items, only look and examine. But if you are more of an old school person and you want a text version of this instead of having the icons, there is an option to make it a text-based inventory. And the text-based inventory is a list. I still couldn't resist enhancing this list as well. So if you use this, if you press L when you've got one selected, you get that look. You can see the inventory as you would see it in the graphical inventory, and you can also examine from this as well. So it's kind of up to you how you want to play it. This is if you're basically only going to be playing with keyboard, then probably this list version would do you the best. But completely up to you. Kay Stillwell says, I like that. I've always felt like I was missing so much when I would eavesdrop on the wrong, or rather, right conversation in Colonel's Bequest. Yeah, I think that for me, I love an adventure game that encourages exploration and experimentation, and that was the most stressful part of the Colonel's Bequest, is just progressing time, you know. That's the most stressful part about real life, is progressing time. You don't want to progress time. I want to just sit in this moment. And that is what I've tried to do here. Ask Jack about cupboard. Okay. Type open cupboard by typing open cupboard. If you type open door, it'll open the green door, not the cupboard door. So this is where it becomes, you have to become a little bit more specific. If you just type open, nothing will happen. You have to give that the noun. And yeah, sometimes there's more than one cupboard. So you can either specify in language what cupboard it is, or just walk up closer to that cupboard. Cupboard that you mean. Open cupboard. Let's take a look inside. Right. There is something inside this cupboard after all. This is not that challenging of a puzzle. Overall, I try not to be that challenging with the puzzles in the Crimson Diamond. They are kind of more like logical steps you need to do to accomplish your goal. I don't set out to do anything complicated, because I do realize that text parser is kind of complicated enough. I wanted to make everything pretty straightforward, and still I've been told that the game is tough but fair. Looking at the cupboard, so this is a bit of a specificity issue with the text parser. You look at cupboard, it'll tell you what the cupboard looks like. If you look in the cupboard, the game will tell you what's inside the cupboard. You can also search the cupboard to look in the cupboard. So let's search cupboard. Oh, search. Yeah, also spelling. You will help. This will help with spelling and typing. It is accidentally educational software. Okay, I see a green hat in the cupboard. Okay, and does this? Yeah, this is not updating. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. Look hat. See a green hat? Oh, is that just something that keeps doing that? Look hat. Do I still get the chime? Okay, good, I don't. Okay, take hat. Okay. Take the green hat. We're done with the tutorial. Those are the most basic commands. Look, talk, ask about inventory, notebook, open. Did I already say take? Take. we can see this. This is our new inventory item. It tells you us what it is. We can look closely at it to get more information. Let's see. I am going fast. I'm going the fastest. Okay, and then we can open the door to leave this area. Okay, we can leave by walking out the door to the tutorial. Okay, great. Here we go. So, I am going to now start a new game, which is going to show you the introductory sequence, graphics, which, as I warned, are a work in progress that I do stream every week, the updating process. I just felt like I needed to have the sequence done and get it out there and worry about the quality later. The rest of the game, as you can see, is a little bit more polished than this, but here we go. And also, this other track that you'll hear is also an original track by Dan Polakar, I think. Okay, here we go. Crimson Ontario, 1914. It's funny. So this ragtime track that Dan has done was not originally intended for the Crimson Diamond. It was a sample that he submitted to Brenda and John Romero for their game Empire of Sin, and he did some of the music for that game as well. And they didn't use it, so he had this extra piece of music, and I said, "I'll have it," and here we go. We all get to enjoy it now. Fisherman. The fisherman's name is canonically Doug Bowe, after Doug Herring, the artist from The Colonel's Bequest, and Laura Bowe. Here he is. I'm currently updating this graphic right now on stream. Diamonds are naturally octahedral, which is a beautiful, beautiful crystal shape. This is, as you see, this needs to be upgraded. I'm going to be, of course, using the opening sequence to The Last Crusade, and I think maybe even Fate of Atlantis has sort of like this type of academic room with shelves and stuff. Okay, this is a blatantly reskinned Jack. This guy will also be different and better at some point. Okay, so this is the newspaper that you start with, the newspaper that he's carrying in his hand right now, and he will have a walk cycle. Here's that newspaper that you start with in the game. Far up north, a fisherman found a massive diamond in the belly of a fish. And, oh yes, by the way, so you are Nancy Maple, and you are a clerk working at the Royal Ontario Museum, which I call the Royal Canadian Museum in my version, in case they have a problem with that, but it's basically the Royal Ontario Museum. And this idea is there's this amazing diamond find potentially up north, and so your boss sends the most expendable employee, because this is a real long shot, and if there is a diamond or diamonds up in Crimson Ontario, wouldn't that make a spectacular exhibit for our mineralogy exhibit down here in Toronto? So Nancy's a Toronto girl, and this is her first time up north. And there's a bit of a rivalry I've invented between the mineralogy exhibit and the geology exhibit. When the Royal Ontario Museum opened, I think there were 6 different departments. There's geology, mineralogy, zoology. I can't remember the rest, but there were 6 or 7. Okay, so here is Nancy as seen in this cross stitch. Okay. And you are a clerk with no formal training. Nancy would like to go to university for mineralogy, but at this point of history, there was a lot of resistance to having women in post-secondary education, and which is a true historical fact. One of the first women geologists couldn't do field work because she was not allowed to go out into the field on her own, being a woman. And she had to do all of her field research in her neighborhood. And she actually made some really important discoveries. Yeah, so we have habit of sending unsupervised young ladies into less civilized regions, but Crimson has Crimson Lodge, which is, a civil a place for you to stay. So isn't that lucky? We can send you to this hotel, and you can go to the hotel and do your field work from there. Okay. So I'm not reading the text boxes out loud because I'm kind of just telling everything out of order on my own. But here we go. You have to go out, get your purse, get your hat and coat, the same green hat from the tutorial. And yeah, and your boss says maybe the university will accept you as a student if you find something big. So this is your golden opportunity to make it big. All right. And I put her hat on, so of course her portrait reflects the fact that she has the hat on now. So that was an updated the 2-second thing you saw of the exterior of the Royal Canadian Museum at sunrise. That took me months of streaming. I will see it again. I'm going to reuse that, of course, because it would be a crime after spending so many hours on it not to. But most of the time when we're streaming, it's mostly just a good time. And I get a bit of work done. And also at the end of the night, I've been streaming EGA adventure games. I've streamed Personal Nightmare by Horrorsoft. I've streamed Last Half of Darkness by Soft Lab Laboratories. I've streamed Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, EGA. I've streamed Rise of the Dragon by Dynamics, also in EGA. And I'm currently streaming Cruise for a Corpse by Delphine Software International, also in EGA. So that's been a lot of fun because I've been able to play stuff that I've never really played before and hang out with people on stream. So yes, _Maple Mystery on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays is when that happens. So this is the interior of a train station that I will eventually update. And here's that train. This is Union Station. That was Union Station at this time. I've looked at some historical photos, so that's going to be fun to recreate. And yes, it's Nancy being a city girl. She's really excited to have this adventure. And she can't wait to see the rocks of Northern Ontario. I know what she feels like. Okay, goodbye a big city, hello adventure. Here's Nancy sleeping with her mouth open. I do this too. Okay, meet some people along the way. As this is Kimi Kishiro. Kimi is based on my own family, and my father was born in British Columbia. So his mother was actually also born in British Columbia. So we have a long heritage in Canada. And so I did want to show, yes, there were Asian people in 1914 in Canada. They did exist. And so we have Kimi, who is a bird watcher who is going up north to see the cormorants, which are up there. There's a nesting colony of cormorants up in Crimson, Ontario that she's really interested in seeing. And her name, Kishiro, is a tribute to one of my favorite anime and one of my favorite manga, and the anime is actually pretty good, the OAV of Battle Angel Alita, one of the best. Okay. So taking the train. The CPR, Canadian Pacific Rail, was a thing at this time. Although I don't know if they would have serviced Crimson, Ontario necessarily, but I'm fudging with his history a little bit. So yeah, this is just reiterating what your conversation with your boss, so people have a better idea of. And yes, Nancy spends hours in the library reading about rocks. I totally understand that too, and she does want to go to school for it. Okay, so she's staying at Crimson Lodge. Oh, and also, of course, the postcard for the Patreon gift pack is Crimson Lodge, and you actually see that exact view in the game. Kimmy's also staying at Crimson Lodge to go bird watching. Also, yeah, my parents loved bird watching, so that's also a thing I added. Great. Oh, here we go. So you can see in the background the trees have gotten darker, indicating a passage of time. Uh-oh, her luggage is gone. So this is also something that has happened in other adventure games. It's pretty common, so you don't start with a lot of stuff, only what's on you. Uh-oh. her eyes actually, they dart back and forth, not uniformly, and that kind of looks like there is a character in the Laura Bow 2 game named Ziggy in Dagger of Amon-Ra, and his eyes kind of do the same thing, and this was by accident that I decided not to fix because it reminded me of Ziggy. Okay, so your field kit was in your luggage. So how are you going to do your field work if you don't have your field kit? Of course, you're an adventurer, so we're going to improvise. But that's in Chapter 2 of the game. Chapter 1 is pretty basic stuff. Okay, so we have to get off the train. No luggage, just what we're carrying. Yeah, so this is clearly a nicer, more finished piece of art in the introduction because I did reuse this train station for later on in the game, so that will happen too. I actually will go and replace stuff that I'll be using later on. Oh, there's a third person on the train after all. Right, we didn't notice him on the train. Yeah, that train car that we were in with Kimmy just now was empty. Okay, well he was in the first class car. Kimmy's looking for the cormorants. He doesn't know. Jack has a walk cycle, so I don't know why he wasn't walking there. It's very strange. He's just kind of... The platform is slick with dew. Here he is performing one of his many functions. He's also a driver, which I did not mention before. And here is an introduction to Albert, who is from Antwerp. He's Belgian, and Antwerp was actually... I think it even still might be one of the diamond capital of the world in terms of trading and everything that has to do with diamonds. And the federal government, the Canadian government, has brought him in to assess this diamond claim because, of course, they're interested as well. Here's some light sexism. Jack is a good person, and this is something that would happen back in those times. He doesn't mean anything by it, but this is just the context, the historical context. So Nancy is pretty good-hearted, and she'll correct people, and not think anything of it. They're friends already, fast friends, Nancy and Kimmy. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Stillwell. Jack is a handyman, a driver, a champion speed skater. He's also a gardener, which I also didn't mention. He's got a beautiful little vegetable patch outside, which maybe I'll show you if we get to that. Nancy and Kimmy's very focused. There's the one thing that she's here for. She will not be dissuaded. Okay, so Jack is the driver for the Crimson Lodge. He's come here to pick up Albert and didn't realize that these other two ladies would be here. And the lodge has been closed. As I mentioned, the lodge is owned by... I didn't mention that who the lodge is owned by, but the lodge is owned by a man who closed the lodge down because Crimson, there's no one there. It's almost a ghost town. It's almost completely deserted except for the inn where this man is living, and with Jack and some friends come visit occasionally, but for all intents and purposes, Crimson is a ghost town. Mr. Kiki, thank you so much for dropping by, Mr. Kiki of the Crimson Tuesday streams, and thank you so much. Good to see you. Happy Crimson Thursday. That works pretty well, actually. Happy Crimson Thursday. Have a good luck with the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, Mr. Kiki. Good to see you. Okay, so yes. Background that I just spent my own time explaining when I could have just read the text box. Yeah, he's a recluse. He wants peace and quiet. Then this diamond stuff happened, and he's not that happy to have all these people in his surroundings. Yep. Uh-oh, what are we gonna do? So yeah, Jack is a good soul, as I mentioned, right? I mean, casual sexism aside, he's a good soul. I mean, he realizes that they're in the middle of nowhere. There's no other train coming. No one else is going to be coming here. So you know what? Come along, and we'll get you the train tomorrow morning. Yeah, so we're going to offer you those accommodations, and then you'll be on your way. Yes, Mr. Richards is a kind of a grumpy, curmudgeonly guy. And also he mentions, yes, so this discovery in Crimson has brought a bunch of people converging onto Crimson Lodge. One of those people is Mr. Richards' sister, Nessa, who is a city woman. And she brought a lawyer as well. Because, of course, when something like this happens, the matter of, well, who actually owns the lodge, right? Because Mr. Richards' parents built this place, and Nessa's actually the older sister, so who owns this property and this land that was pretty undesirable up until this point? And all of a sudden with the diamonds, who knows? It could be really up in the air. Okay. So here we go. Wow, Nancy's a fast walker. Oh, drawing cars. This, I think, is four frames of animation, and the only thing that moves are the wheel spokes. And I love the MS Paint trees that I've got back there. It's going to be almost a shame to get rid of them. Okay. Yes, very dark outside. That's actually the reason that Nancy states, if you try to leave the lodge in chapter 1 in the demo, she will say, it's too dark out there and I've never even been outside there. It's pitch black. It's not safe. And so you don't, because Nancy is a clever girl. Here's some more background about Crimson. People would come here for settlers. So this is something the Canadian government did, is they would offer incentives to settlers to go to, up north and say, this is land and we'll give it to you really, really cheap as free. You just have to stay here and work it. And Crimson in particular was a place where they discovered garnets that they could mine. That's why it's called Crimson, Ontario, because of these wonderful, well, I would say wonderful crimson garnets, but the garnets in Crimson, Ontario were kind of small, pebbly things. That type of garnet is still very hard and very useful for industrial applications, such as like grinding stuff and sanding things, and not that glamorous, but that's what brought a lot of people to that area. I do have, well, yeah, actually I can quickly show this. So this type of story is actually repeated a lot. I don't know if the camera's catching this. This is a book that is one of my primary pieces of research for this game, called Ontario's Ghost Town Heritage by Ron Brown. And this story is actually really common in Ontario and other provinces as well, where there were towns which were, silver, nickel, cobalt. There's a place called Cobalt, Ontario, and these vast mineral resources that towns would be established around these places, and then for whatever reason, there are many reasons, that suddenly fell out of favor or became unprofitable or just ran out, and then those places become abandoned. And Crimson, Ontario is one of those places. Okay, Kimmy with the cormorants, have you seen them? Jack says yes, they have nests on the cliffside. Don't bother them. But she won't get a chance to see them anyway, because they're going to be back out of here first thing in the morning. Yep. Nancy's also very focused on one issue. Jack is skeptical. Jack is a person who's lived in this area for a long time. And yeah, the diamond that's the thing, the diamond might not necessarily have come from Crimson, Ontario, because it was cut out of a fish. Fish tend to move all around, and so who knows where this diamond could have come from. But yeah, Jack says, who cares about shiny rocks anyway? No use to anybody. And we shall see. Okay. Here we are. Everyone kind of falls asleep. This is a very deep nighttime version of the view, so this might look familiar to those of you I showed this postcard to before. This is a particularly dark night. It's not going to be this dark outside the lodge when you're actually playing the game, because I did want to show a little bit of color, so this is, I guess, a new moon or something. But yeah, it's the same view. I almost don't mind having more bodies in the lodge. Feels not so empty. Writing is fun. Alright. Okay. So Jack's the spirit of hospitality. Okay. And this is the lodge proper. We have a bedroom set up for us. Well, not set up for us, but we'll just move ourselves in. And that's an introduction of Margot, who is Mr. Richard's lady friend. She's a French Canadian. And yes, Jack and Corvus. Jack and Corvus are sharing the bedroom with 2 pink beds next to you. He's Jack. This needs to be fixed. Who wrote this? And Albert, so this is an interesting note, is Albert is staying in Jack's room. Jack's room is much smaller than the other rooms. It was never really meant as a guest room, but Albert insisted on using it, which is kind of surprising. And maybe we'll find out why that is later. Yeah. And Nessa's room is across the hall from Albert, so Jack's got it all figured out. Okay. And now he's also a porter, so he's going to put this luggage upstairs for Albert, and then he's got to cook dinner, so he's also a cook. Here's the invitation to explore the lodge a little bit. Okay. Great. A lot of places to set tonight. It's a full house. I think total right now in the game there are 8 characters, and they're all going to be seated around that dining table at dinner time. In looped eating animations. Okay, so we head upstairs. Oh, yeah, and actually, there should be a thing that says Chapter 1 here, but I turned it off for testing purposes, so that's why it's not here right now. So as I mentioned, this is not the most recent. This is the most recent version of the demo, but it's not the one that you'll find on the Steam store page. So. there is like a Chapter 1 introductions splashed across. So just imagine that right now in yellow hand done type, Chapter 1 colon introductions, and then some brief tutorializing for people who don't do the tutorial. I try to sneak it in at every opportunity. But yeah, here we go. This is us. This is you or me. Somebody. This is somebody. And yeah, we start off with our lucky loop, which we wear around our neck with a green lanyard, the newspaper that our boss showed us, and our trusty notebook here. And if we look at the notebook, it says talk to everyone in the lodge, and this is a list of everyone in the lodge right now. So that is our objective. Okay, so as I mentioned, we can type look or look room if you prefer. This is the bedroom you're sharing with Kimmy. And it details all the stuff that you might want to look at. Twin beds, nightstands, fireplace, Kimmy. So, and also so look beds. Yes, matching quilted covers. Coat is hanging on the footboard. Your hat. So this is so you can see everything kind of does get. Hopefully everything gets detailed in the descriptions for you to look at. So those are our things that we came in with. We can take hat if you want. Take coat. And yeah, we get them in our inventory. Trusty stuff. Bit threadbare. Little details. Okay, so why don't we look at Kimmy? First look is this general overview of person, and then subsequent looks is going to be what she's doing right now. She's writing in her sketchbook with a pen. So you can look sketchbook. I see. She's got some rough sketches. She doesn't want us to look at those sketches. She closes the little sketchbook until we move away. But we gotta talk to her. Talk to Kimmy. Nancy is an adventuresome type, loves exploring. Hopefully players will also be inquisitive explorers. Okay, so there we go. Kimmy is not so intrepid. I'm more like Kimmy, I think. If I was going to be any character in this game, I would be Kimmy. I would be in my room sketching, waiting for dinner time, and avoiding everybody else. Okay. Yes. Yeah, and unfortunately you'll be missing those nesting cormorants, Kimmy. Kimmy's optimistic. Okay, so here we go. Ask characters about different topics. You must specify who. You can ask Kimmy about birds. So here is the notebook. It is updated to show that we have talked to Kimmy. We could ask about birds. I mean, naturally, if there's going to be one thing you ask her about, it's going to be birds. Okay. Nowadays they're rare. And this is for me, the mystery and the beauty of text parser interface dialogue. There is no dialogue tree or menu of things to pick to methodically go through. You have to, like real life, pay attention and come up with how to engage someone in conversation by asking them relevant questions. Now, this might be something that other people don't care for, but I kind of love this, especially in a mystery game. I think this can be a lot of fun. Okay, so we can ask about Fisherman. Yeah, fascinating story. Gutting a fish only to find a diamond. Indeed. Ask about diamond. Geology is not her area of interest. Well, we knew that. Yes, thank you. Birds, indeed. Okay. Ask about nests. Yeah. We can ask about Jack. Yeah. So anyway, there are a lot of conversational topics that you can ask people about if you follow along with these types of lines of inquiry. I don't remember most of them. I think one thing you can ask everybody about is their parents. Yeah. So here's a bit of her background. Yeah. They have a farm in Vancouver, grow flowers in a little flower shop. Lovely, and she's proud of them. Okay, so here is door. So we can do a few things. We can open door from here, if you wish. There's only one door in this room, so the parser will know what you mean by that. Oh, you know what? I also have the tutorial boxes turned off by default on my version of this game. But actually, I can just walk you through what those are. So one of the first help text tutorial boxes that will pop up here is this prompt to type in H for help. I have some text parser shortcuts in the game, and there's a number of reasons for this. The main reason is because someone did contact me when the demo first came out about how some people might have like dexterity issues with typing. They might have like accessibility issues with typing, and so this kind of helps people to just use a bit of a shorthand for the most commonly used instructions. So that's why you've got I for inventory window, N for notebook, L you can look at stuff, T for talk, search is S. Common things you can open up are doors, drawers, cupboards. Everyone has a two-letter abbreviation. Kay Stillwell, you recently played Quest for Glory 2 and its keyword system for its text parser was a lot of fun. In Quest for Glory 2, they don't have. I think in Ultima 6, the dialogue, if there's a relevant word that gets highlighted, which I also think is kind of cool. I don't know how to do that, which is probably why I didn't do it. But I can say it's because, this encourages reading comprehension. But that is a cool feature in the Ultima game. Okay, so here are some examples of usage. So the primary reason for creating keyboard shortcuts, the first one was, yes, making it easier to type things for people who don't have such an easy time with typing. Second reason is, yes, some Sierra games, I believe, did have keyboard shortcuts. I think I was told Police Quest 2 had some text keyboard shortcuts as well. The third reason is because, the third reason is not because, but this has been something that has been a really good feature for people who speedrun the demo. Is it's super helpful for speedrunners to save time by using the keyboard shortcuts as well. So, for instance, here we can OD to open a door. We're not close enough to the relevant door, but if we got closer to a door that is not open, spacebar repeats last parse as well. We can open the door that way. Consequently, closed door is CD. This is new in this version of the demo. This is not something you can do in the currently available version. You can open the left door by OLD. And that's actually something that the speedrunners had mentioned to me that could be more helpful for people. And I think not only would it be more helpful for speedrunners, but it would be more helpful for people, who can't or won't or not that comfortable with typing like a lot of stuff into the text parser. So, another beautiful room. Look. Master bedroom. You feel a little weird about invading their private space, Margot and Mr. Richards' bedroom, but you don't leave. I actually really like this aspect of this type of narration style. It's kind of a weird narration style because um, you're playing Nancy, but when you have her do stuff, she's kind of giving you her feelings sometimes. So it's kind of a weird blend of you and her. And sometimes in the writing, I try to indicate how she's feeling about things. And I don't really know what the rules are for that. It's just I do it by feel. So for instance, here you can walk up to the door you mean and open the door, or you can say open southeast door. But you can't do this in the current demo. I'm so sorry to show you this, but I was just excited to implement it. Bathroom. This is something. Okay. When I first started making the Crimson Diamond, I was not planning on making a game. I was making it like a digital dollhouse that I could walk around in and I could put furniture in. It's like The Sims, only kind of more challenging to implement. In terms of like, I can't just buy a piece of furniture in Sims and stick it somewhere. I actually have to build everything. That's kind of how I approached it. So this kind of thing, having this bathroom here, I knew I wanted there to be bathrooms in the house. Not that there was a particular gameplay reason for having them. And I wanted the mirror to reflect because that's also something that's really cool. Here's something else useless you can do. You can wash your hands. There's no reason to do this. I just did it because I felt like you should be able to. This was during a very blessed stage of development where I wasn't trying to finish it and I was just playing with it. See, there's a little bar of soap to her left. She's going to do that. She's going to put it down. She's going to, rub her hands with it to a lather. She's going to get that towel, dry, put back. Yeah. You can do that. Up to this point in the game, there is no gameplay reason to do that. And you won't even get points. It just happens. Okay, Stillwell, hygiene is its own reward. Okay, I'll accept that. You can also flush the toilet. You can use the toilet. Well, you can't really use the toilet because I don't let the player use the word use. I was pretty firm about that. Use is too easy. Use. Use isn't used in this game. Other verbs are required. So if you can figure out how to use the toilet, that is also its own reward. I gotta leave some stuff for you guys to try out. But you can turn on the tap if you want. You can turn that on. You can see that water running. You can just leave. Come back. It's still running. Just leave. That's really irresponsible though, so I can't not. You can turn off water as well. That'll work. Okay. So no one's in here. Let's open this door. Open door. Okay. Aha! Aha! I've always been fascinated by dressing screens. I don't know why, but I just am. Okay. Let's take a look. This is the boudoir. This is Margot's boudoir. This is one of the first rooms I've made. The very first room I made in this game was the kitchen, which we will see. Second room was, I think, this boudoir, because I just wanted to. There's perfumes floating in the air. She's got a lovely chandelier, which I don't think is any kind of conscious tribute to the Colonel's bequest or anything. I just wanted a chandelier. And it's not going to fall down. That's not a spoiler or anything. Powder compact on the vanity. Pretty blonde woman in a fashionable dress. If anyone here loves Art Nouveau like I do, you might recognize the portrait that's in this boudoir as a pretty famous piece by Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, who was a poster artist back in Paris, back in the Art Nouveau times. There's quite a few Art Nouveau pieces throughout the lodge, as well as paintings of this time as well, because I actually, I'm an art student, trained in art stuff in college first, and I kind of learned how to make this game on my own. I'm using the Adventure Game Studio engine, which is a wonderful, wonderful engine to make adventure games with. and also a really good one if you're learning how to program, like I am, still am. For instance, Rajadai games, David Gilbert games, are made in Adventure Game Studio. Francisco Gonzalez's Lamplight City and currently in development Rosewater is also Adventure Game Studio. Tons of Primordia, Techno Babylon, Kathy Rain, lots of commercially available, really fantastic adventure games made in Adventure Game Studio. So if you're watching this and you're saying, I want to make my own adventure game, I would recommend wholeheartedly Adventure Game Studio. So let's look at woman. Look, woman. Slim blonde woman sits at vanity. Okay, so we need to talk to woman because we don't know who she is yet. So we're going to introduce ourselves to lady. Okay, this is Margot. Right. Sent by Royal Canadian Museum on assignment. You'll get really used to hearing these lines. You've got to say them like 7 times. Okay, but we're going to be heading back tomorrow morning because we're not supposed to be here. We are unwelcome. Yes. So there's a few things you can see we could ask Margot about. We can ask about Richards. He's mon cher. So it's been a couple years they've met. She stayed one night in the lodge as a gesture of hospitality, and she's never left. Another fun thing I did in this game that has no gameplay reason to do is you can sit. You can sit in just about every room in the game. This is something I did because I wanted to sit in adventure games, and most of them wouldn't let you. And I thought, darn it, I'm going to let you sit in most rooms. And you can. Most rooms. So if you just type sit, she will usually just sit in the available chair that you can do that in. And there is, I think, one room where there's more than one place you can sit, in which case you have to specify. Stand. Oh, nope. Stand. Okay. So we can move through. Walk-in closet. Lovely. Also another mirror. Okay. Nothing here, though. So we're going to keep going. Keep going. Alright. This place is huge, by the way. And I realize that it's probably too big. Like, this corridor is so wide. But I'd like to pretend in my head, that Mr. Richards' parents had kind of this whole idea of this grand place. And so they kind of really overbuilt this place, because it is massive. Okay, so here's another room. Oh, so yes, so this brings us to Dido Cat. Dido Cat, you can see Dido Cat in this picture above this bed right here. You can see Dido Cat behind me. Dido Cat was our last family cat. Dido was the sweetest tuxedo cat you ever could meet. My mom loved Dido. That's why my mom made this more than 2,000 piece patchwork quilt as a tribute to Dido. And Dido now lives forever in the game as well. That's how much we love Dido. And also, of course, there is a Nancy Maple patchwork as well. I don't know why this mirror is like kind of dark like that, like it's kind of smoky. I don't know what happened there. That's a bug I need to fix. But we can sit. If you want. Stand. It's fine. No one's here though. But yeah, Jack mentioned that Albert wanted to be in his room, Jack's room. So Jack has moved into this bedroom, and this is all Jack's clothing in this crate. This hasty moving arrangement, and this is Corvus's side of the room. There is some Corvus's shoes and a satchel, which we cannot open because it is locked. Look, won't we look? Yes. So this is just, yes, a recent living arrangement. Large dresser, coffee table, writing desk, pair of beds. Look beds. So 2 single beds, leather satchel on this bed. Okay. We can try taking satchel, but it's not going to work. Yeah. Nancy will take some things, but she won't take everything. You can also open a lot of drawers in this game. And she'll just open all of them. And maybe the first mirror I ever encountered in a game was King's Quest IV. I think the first mirror I encountered in a game was King's Quest III in Manannan's bedroom. And that was very cool. Oh, so something about these drawers. Yeah, moth-eaten socks, loose buttons, single shoelaces, and other bric-a-brac. Nothing interesting in there. I kind of so a lot of the cupboards and drawers you can open in this game um, don't really have anything in them right now, and I will be changing that in the future. And it's gonna be one of those things that hopefully um, that flavor text that's going to be in them will help to create that setting of what the story is about and what this Crimson Lodge is about, the history of this place. Um, for those of you who are more interested in just getting through the game really quick, that's what the notebook is going to be for. But there are a lot of things you can miss in this game if you just go through the notebook stuff step by step. There's a lot of conversations you can listen in on that won't be in the notebook. So I will encourage people to find those times when you can listen in on those conversations to learn more about the story. Um, but this will be another level of learning about the game is if you did go through all the cupboards and drawers and finding out more about the people here, you will get a clearer idea of the fullness of the story, and hopefully at the end of the game you'll have a greater understanding of what's going on. So I'm trying to design this game for people who want to enjoy it in a bunch of different levels. Some people, yeah, they want to just go bang bang bang, finish the game. Other people might want to take more time with it, and really try to talk to people about finding those conversational cues in the dialogue. Okay, so lots of rooms. So yes, this you can see just how many. Okay, I'm just gonna open all the stuff that's in here. Open cupboard. Right, there's a cupboard there. You can see it's empty. Yeah, putting stuff in there. Open. If we open this cupboard, she'll open that one. Open drawer. Drawers. And again, this is me with wanting to do this in other adventure games and not being able to. For what it's worth. Because the rooms need furniture, and furniture often has drawers and cupboards and all that. So, one of the speedrun categories that we invented when the Speedy Adventures were doing their short run challenge for speedrunners of the demo was opening all the cabinets and cupboards in the room, and it is the category that takes the longest time. Takes even longer than 100% completing everything that you can do in the demo, because I kind of just went like all out, you know, animating all this because I was dollhouse, just a dollhouse, and then stuff started to germinate in my head about characters and setting and plot, and then I said, okay, well, why don't I try to learn how to make a game, and then the rest is history, I suppose. This is Albert, of course. We met him on the way in. Small bedroom, humbly furnished. So this would be considered like the servant's room. In a simpler make, wardrobe, desk, nightstand. Albert is here. I like having looping animations like this because it does feel like the characters have like life to them. But of course, he's got an infinite number of white shirts that he's unpacking right now, and I just like that idea too. So we do need to talk to him. If you forget his name, you can just talk to man, or you can talk to PP, which is the abbreviation for present people. So, hello, Mr. Respa, Albert Respa. Okay. So he's one of those people too busy, can't chat. We still get credit for it, so that's fine. That's enough for us. We'll have an opportunity to talk to him later, and we can see this is who we've talked to so far. And can I open this cupboard? I don't think he'll let me. Yes, he's busy. This also happens sometimes. So sometimes people are busy. They won't let you access certain parts of the room. Or if they're sleeping, they're not going to talk to you. And Nancy's too polite to wake them up. Stuff like that. So it kind of depends. So some people are available at certain parts of the game. Closet. Open cupboard. Nothing. At some point, hopefully something. Okay. So this room, bathroom, one of the other bathrooms. So this is, I mentioned that the game has some other Art Nouveau or other pieces of art in it. This piece is an Alphonse Mucha, very famous Alphonse Mucha poster. It says on the back Job or Job. It's sort of, I think it's a tobacco ad. And so if you just Google Alphonse Mucha and Job or Job, you'll find this poster. And I just really enjoy making super low resolution EGA versions of pieces of art that are public domain, I think, at this point. So here is this wonderful open cupboard near the mirror that the mirror works as you're opening it and closing it, which is silly. But there we go. You can also flush the toilet. Okay. Oh, I should probably save the game. Oh. Don't want to look at this stuff. That's a bit of a spoiler. Streaming now. Okay. This room has mild violence. Should I put like a bit of a warning? Very mild violence. There's an Easter egg in the Colonel's Bequest that I could not resist recreating in my game, and I'm about to show it to you. It's very mild violence because it's low resolution with 16 colors, but I'm just going to give you that warning ahead of time. If you can handle the one that's in the Colonel's Bequest, then you can handle this one. We can take a shower. Jack did suggest to us, yeah, why don't you take a shower, freshen up before dinner time, and we very much can. So we can close this door if you want. We can remove clothes. So okay, this is something I enjoy too. So we have an inventory right now. You remove clothes. Nancy knows we're watching, I guess. It's a weird relationship that you guys have between yourselves. So we go outside, and now we have Nancy. You go your inventory. She's not carrying anything because it's all in her pockets. Her skirt has gigantic pockets that probably reach down to her ankles, and you aren't carrying anything right now because you're in a towel. And yes, I made it so that in the mirror you're also wearing the towel. Actually, that just works anyway. That code just does that. Okay, so take a shower. How do we take a shower? This is what I mean by text parsers are inherently a little more challenging than just purely point and click adventure games, because you have to think of the steps that you need to use to take a shower. Well, we need to turn on the water, right? Right, but that's not all you need to do in a shower to make the water go. There's usually some kind of like switch or lever or something. If we look at the bathtub, I wonder if it tells us the right thing. Bathtub. Right. Yes, and the shower valve. Push valve? Okay, it's already pushed. We got a pull valve. Pull valve. Okay. Shower time. Right. So there it is. Get in shower. Get in shower. Right. So there we go. First death. There's not a lot of deaths in the demo. There are, I think, 2 deaths. I'm more than happy to show both of them. But another thing about the Colonel's Bequest that did scare me when I played it way back in the day was how easy it was to die. Even if you knew accidentally there are ways to die, I make you work for them in my game. You get plenty of warning, which I think is fair. Okay, so we're not going to do that. That's not. We can wash our hands in here, but we're you know that you can. This room. So this is another Art Nouveau poster. This is an absinthe ad. You can see I just really enjoy decorating stuff. These wallpaper patterns. So I have a Society 6 store which sells like merch and stuff. You can get like t-shirts with the Crimson Diamond logo on it, but you can also get stuff that just has the wallpaper patterns here because I just loved creating these wallpaper patterns in the game. But yeah, we can sit. We can sit. If you want. We can sit. Kind of disappears. She kind of disappears into this couch. But that's okay. Okay. Next. this door here goes out onto the balcony. So this will give you an idea of what it actually looks like at nighttime. We can't walk around out there in the demo, but this gives you a little taste. It's not bad. Yeah, there's different ways of conveying nighttime in an EGA game, even with the 16 colors. Monkey Island went with the darker blues a lot of the time for the nighttime. There's some of the nighttime scenes in Quest for Glory 2 were very much more cyan, and I kind of went more with the cyan because it's kind of brighter, and it gives me the opportunity to still use a little bit of color here and there, which I really did enjoy doing. Okay, next. Downstairs. So here's the front door of the place. This is where we entered in at the end of the introductory sequence. And here's Nancy being sensible. She's not going to let you go outside because it's really dark. And here's an example of some of the eavesdropping you can do in this game. That's a big mechanic in the Colonel's Bequest and in the Dagger of Amon-Ra, those older adventure games. It's one of my favorite things to do, so I have a lot of that in my game. This is not something that, if you're just following the notebook, you would necessarily find. Although in Chapter 1 in this demo, it's kind of hard to avoid finding this because there's two people in this room that you need to talk to. And so you get introduced to this idea of there are things that you can do in the game that are not completely outlined in the notebook. So, I hear voices in the doorway. I wonder what they're talking about. Of course you do. Of course, who wouldn't? So there's a few ways we can do this. You can just listen if you want. So this is another original track that Dan composed. There are 3 tracks that Dan composed that are in the demo, and we're going to hear all of them hopefully. Yes, I think so. Looking at the time, I'm going to stop streaming I think around 10 o'clock, and we're going to hear all 3 of Dan's. He's composed so much more for the game. He's pretty much finished. He's surpassed me in terms of development. He's already composed stuff for stuff I haven't even created yet for the game. So I don't know what I'm going to do with Dan when he's well and truly finished. But so far so good. You can listen to these 3 pieces. So this is Nessa. This is Evan's Mr. Richard's older sister speaking to Corvus. And she's always hated this place. Okay. So people scheming. People with plans. Something about a will. And that's a weird graphical glitch that's by that left hand of the... I don't know what that 3 bars of the purple happen. They just flash on and off. And I don't know why that's happening. I couldn't even begin to guess. And I've looked. Okay, so yes, they're looking for a will. Okay, game is autosave. So the game, that's another thing that the game will do. The game does have autosave. That's another quality of life feature. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can kind of save and load and scroll through this also with keyboard. So yeah, I tried to make it so as much as possible, if you don't want to use the mouse, you don't need to use the mouse. So for instance, all these, in the main menu here, I tried to make it so the buttons you can press by just with the highlighted letter there. Although these options, unfortunately, are stuff that you do have to use the mouse for. So it's not perfect yet. Okay, so we're going to go in. This painting above the sofa is an A.Y. Jackson painting. A.Y. Jackson was a member of the Group of 7, which is a famous in Canada painting group that would go up north in northern Ontario and stay at places and do plein air painting, so painting out in the wilderness, and do sketches and then take those sketches back and create finished canvases. And I'd like to think that they visited Crimson and bartered with Evan's father for lodging, and they gave paintings. There's actually a really nice Lauren Harris up in the upper level of the game that I forgot to show you. But at the end of the hallway, when you just leave the first bedroom that you start in, there's a recreation of a Lauren Harris painting as well. So let's take a look. So this is the parlor. Another one of the earlier rooms that I built, and just explains everything. Stern older woman with gray streaking her brown hair and tall natty man. So this room is one of the rooms where you can sit in 2 different places. I know, what was I thinking? Okay, you can sit here. Alright, you can sit there. Or you can also, if you want, just type sit in armchair. She'll sit in the armchair. And this might look familiar to you, and actually I knocked it off, so hold on, I need to just grab the cross stitch again because it fell off the desk. I'll be right back. Okay. So that's this room. Currently what I'm working on. Although Nancy in this cross stitch is standing just so we can see her full sprite. That's what I was trying to do. And I'm just looking at the delay to make sure I'm showing you guys the right thing in camera. Yeah. Okay. Good enough. So, there she is. This is that room. Okay. Stand. And we can talk. So this is an example of that, using that shortcut system where we can talk to present people, and that'll talk to everyone. Okay. Nancy Maple. Nessa not having any of it. Right. Older sister. And so this game does not have voice acting. Voice acting provided by you. Though I have to say, I've seen a few people streaming this and then doing the voices, and a lot of people have very similar ideas of what these characters sound like, which I think is fun. For instance, invariably, Nessa sounds like this. What on earth are you doing here? Are you another one of Evan's gold-digging girlfriends? That's tends to be the standard Nessa. And Nessa is going to town on these candies. Okay, Stillwell, remember what I said about having fun with looping animations? So something that I guess they could be doing just forever, but is funny to think of them doing forever, in actuality. And Nancy does not have a southern accent. Being from Toronto, she was born and raised in Toronto. She would sound whatever people sounded like in 1914 Toronto. Not a southern belle. The government has sent a professional to handle that. Stay out of his way. You know, I'm not a voice actor, but that's what people. I mean, I would love to hear other people's interpretations of Nessa, but I am delighted by how much in common people have with their voices for her. Nancy, it doesn't even let rude people get her down. There's some things about Nancy I find really aspirational. Yes, she doesn't like it here. She never did, as she mentioned in our conversation that we listened in on. Okay, and she's going to introduce herself to the gentleman. This is Corvus. That's the lawyer that she brought. Right. They're interested in getting their share of the land and of the diamonds. So already there's going to be a bit of conflict there. He's pretty sure that there's diamonds, but we don't know. That's what we're going to find out. So yes, we can look at almonds. Oh, we can't see almonds? Look, almond? No? Uh-oh, this is something that should work. Why doesn't this work? Bugs. Nothing's perfect. So we can look at them. We can look at them even closer. Something fun you can do with these almonds. There are not a lot of times in this game where you can try to give things to people. And it's something like kind of underused in the game so far, but you can try giving almonds to people for comedy's sake. You can offer them to people just for fun. But this is, for the most part, I don't think that I've actually have any give commands that do anything of actual purpose. Okay. More than enough. Okay. So, open door. This is something that you will find up in like cottages, northern Canadian places. This is a mud room where people can rinse off muddy boots and shoes. It's kind of nice. There's the basin with the tap, with the faucet and stuff. You can turn this on, by the way. Of course you can. Turn on water. Oh, wait, what? Turn on water, I said. No? What? Turn... Why did that happen? Turn on tap. Box. Okay, yeah. I just had fun making this animation of the water kind of lump moving through the hose. Ugh, why? Turn tap. Why is this happening? No! Okay, we're gonna just run away and pretend we didn't do that. Okay, next. Oh, and check our notebook. Yes, we did talk to Nessa and Corvus. Okay, open door. Another bathroom. Another flush. I guess we should wash our hands. Another room with wallpaper. It's nighttime, so you can see the moonlight coming in through these windows. In the daytime, you'll see sunlight coming through these windows, and you'll get the light coming on the tiles will be a warm sunlight, not a cool moonlight. Another closet with all kinds of tools. Sled. Okay. Bar. Another absinthe ad. Art Nouveau absinthe ad. You can sit in this nice armchair. So right now, if we go into the dining room, there's no one here yet because we have not completed our objective of talking to everyone yet. But there are plenty of cupboards to open if you really, really want to. So these ones are ones that I actually did fill with stuff, as you can see. So that's kind of give you an idea of what the rest of the cupboards will hopefully look like sometime. Okay, yeah, cutlery and all sorts. Oh yes, this room is also where you'll find the second death you can experience in the demo. You have to work for it, get plenty of warning, but I will save. We can drink a toast. So there's whiskey here. Look, whiskey. Crystal decanter, another mainstay of mystery games and books and movies. Certain things, certain items. Crystal decanter being one of those things. Just one of those things. We can toast. To adventure, to mystery, long-lived text parsers and EGA, to adventure games in general. So yes, I'm not done streaming yet, but I do want to thank everyone so far for coming in and watching me play my demo and coming in and participating in this wonderful festival, this wonderful event, because I think the adventure game genre is super exciting, and I think is never not going to be popular, even if other types of games can fold in narrative now, because there's room for all kinds of ways to tell stories. I think story-focused games there'll always be a place for them, because I'm actually not someone who enjoys a lot of other genres in terms of eye-hand coordination, or even RPGs, because RPGs really are a huge time investment, although they are my second favorite genre. Everyone is always going to want new stories, new characters and plots, and get invested into those stories, and having something that is narrative focused like AdventureX is a wonderful showcase for people who might feel like, oh, I don't really play games or something like that. It's a great way to get people like that to play games, because the story is the game, and you don't have to worry about navigating a map in 3 dimensions, another thing I'm not good at. So yeah, stuff like that where you can more easily navigate through a game and enjoy something and interact with something and make choices that matter in a way that is not going to tax your dexterity, because I certainly was never very good at those games. Here's Nancy toasting us. Delicious. Why don't we have another? It's pretty strong. Yeah, whiskey is pretty strong. Nancy's smaller in terms of her sprite. She's smaller than most of the other characters. I think she's the smallest character. But here she goes again. It's getting to her head. She thinks she's at her limit. She really ought to stop. We can stop at this point, but I told you guys, oh, there's an autosave. That's a bit of an indication. I said we'd show the last death, so I mentioned plenty of opportunity to stop. But we're gonna try again. We're gonna overindulge. Everything in moderation. So that's the other death in the demo. So far in the full game as it is, I think there's only one more death, so I'm gonna have to work on that. Okay. Know your limit. Okay. So we're fine. Everything's good. Okay. Billiard room. Giant billiard table. We mentioned before that I was very inspired by the Colonel's Bequest, Dagger of Amon-Ra, other mystery games, shows, movies. Also Clue, or Cluedo, as it's known in Europe, I believe. But there is a billiard room because of Clue in this game. I had to come up with a reason to justify this room because I built it before thinking of a reason for it to be there. But there is now a reason, not in the demo, but in one of the other chapters of the game. The game is 7 chapters, 6 chapters of gameplay, and the 7th chapter is going to be a test of knowledge that will lead to branching endings. I am currently finishing off chapter 5, so I have one more chapter of gameplay to create before the game is kind of finished. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of testing involved and all that. But yeah, in a subsequent chapter, there is now a reason for this to exist. When I made it, I was not thinking about that. There's also a conservatory in this game because of Clue. I looked at the Clue board that I have for room ideas. And we cannot play billiards right now. There's no one here. Okay. Study. Moosehead. A moosehead is one of those also mainstays of mostly, I guess, adventure games have mooseheads, particularly the Sierra ones. I didn't really put adventure game Easter eggs in my game, but I feel like the moosehead is kind of one that is and isn't an Easter egg because conceivably it would be in the setting and totally works, but it's also, yeah, I remember the Adventurers Guild, I think. Is it called the Adventurers Guild in Quest for Glory? Where they have Moosehead. There's Moosehead in a lot of the other games as well. So here's my Moosehead. You can also sit, of course. You can also spin in the chair. So spinny rolly chairs were actually invented by, I think Thomas Jefferson invented this type of chair. So this is historically accurate. Not everything is historically accurate, but this is. Okay, moving on. Okay, another conversation we're hearing, so let's listen. Here we go, people we haven't met yet. Yeah, more people planning and discussing things. Yeah, this is Mr. Richards, who plans on just staying out of everyone's way, waiting for things to go back to normal. What if they find? Yeah, I don't know what that glitch is there. Something to do with this GUI. I might have to redo it or something. Okay. So, listen, if you want to talk, we'll do it privately later. Meet me in the study after dinner. We just were in the study, so we now have this idea of after dinner there might be a conversation that we can listen to. Okay, game is auto-saved again. We can go in here. So this is the conservatory. It has a checkered tiled floor like the conservatory in my edition of Clue, which was a yellow and green. Quite a striking room in my Clue game. But let's talk to people. Okay, Nancy Maple, yes, we know this. At this point, hopefully, the player has a very clear idea of who Nancy is and what she's here to do. I hope. After, I think, the 7th time we're hearing this, 6th or 7th time. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so we're kind of out of luck right now. We won't be able to do our field work in the morning because we're going to be on that first train back. This is Evan's friend Nathan. Nathan's family's lived in this area for a very long time, and we'll hear more about his story in a bit at dinner time. Yeah, Nathan also says, as Jack does, that there are no diamonds here, so you're wasting your time, I'm afraid. Right. Autosave. So, we hear Jack calling supper. It's time to head to the dining room. Okay. So, this is weird, actually, because we didn't actually talk to Jack. Which is the first time I'm actually encountering the fact that we didn't even need to talk to Jack for this to happen. So that's strange. I am very surprised. You can also scroll through this notebook with these tabs here, the arrow tabs, or you can use the arrow buttons as well to scroll through this. So, apparently it thinks we talked to everybody, even though we didn't, which I don't know why that did that, but here we are. I think in the current version that's available on Steam, it works properly, so I don't know how I broke it. But yeah, so go to dining room. So this is what I meant. So there's a bunch of asterisks, or hopefully, I think maybe in this current version, anyway, etc. Go to the dining room so you can feel comfortable to just avoid the dining room for now, if you want, and just continue to take a look around. But yeah, we don't even see Jack in here right now because he is in the dining room with everybody else. So open cupboard. Okay. This I guess could considerably be an Easter egg. This mug. Look in cupboard. Okay. At the bottom cupboard, heavy pots and pans, which is where the heavy stuff should be put in your kitchen, of course. And upper is pretty blue mug and some plainer mugs. We're gonna take the mug. Take the blue mug. So, the blue mug is something that you may find in other Adventure Game Studio games out there. The blue mug, the blue cup, is sort of the logo for Adventure Game Studio. And while it's not required that you put a blue mug in your game or blue cup in your game, if you have an Adventure Game Studio game, it's just a fun thing for people to do. I know Francisco Gonzalez did it in Lamplight City. Tom Simpson did it in Feria Darls as well. He has a blue mug. And I'm sure there are other ones. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but they are out there. And I do have one as well. So here we are. The mug has a beautiful blue glaze. If we look at it, it says the bottom of this mug has an inscription that reads as follows: AG Studio by Chris Jones, model 3.3.5.7. That is the version of Adventure Game Studio that I'm using. I'm using an older version. I tried upgrading and then it gave me a message saying, this might break your game completely. Do you still want to do it? And I said, probably not. And so I didn't. That's why I'm using an older version of it. And Chris Jones created Adventure Game Studio, but it's kept alive and it's maintained by a bunch of wonderful, passionate people. So that's another good reason. If you're thinking about creating an adventure game, to use Adventure Game Studio. There is a thriving community, thriving forums that you can post to if you have any questions that you need answered. And I've used them for sure, and I've been stuck before. And super helpful people. So that's that. Okay, so I guess we're going to move into the dining room. This is the dining room waltz that Dan composed. Usually we try to alternate between game art streams on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and game music streams with Dan. But sometimes Dan can't make it because Dan is busy. Dan wears a lot of hats. Dan teaches music, he composes music, he produces music, he is a performer, he tours as well, he does gigs all over the place. He's been touring with Sean Paul's band for the past 10 years, I think. So in the summertime, he was really, really busy with all that stuff, and so we didn't really get to see him as much. So it doesn't tend to be every other week being music and then art, but we try to get him in when we can. And I've also been getting guests in occasionally on my art streams as well, where I talk to a bunch of people from the adventure game community, and we have a nice conversation. Bunch of guests. I have had Francisco on as a guest. I had Anna Vigu, who is part of the Classic Gamers Guild community and is a co-host of the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. I've had Jim Maxwell, who is a VFX on Vikings, who won an Emmy for that, who loves adventure games, remembers playing like Zach McCracken and all the and Monkey Island and all those things back in the day. So we had a talk with him. I had a guest a couple weeks ago, Ilya Schwartz, who is making Strange Dungeon. Ilya was an old classmate of mine, and I was working with him for a couple months in the summertime. He got funding for a game, and so I got to learn a Blender and a bunch of other fun things. And we had a really good conversation that unfortunately did not get recorded, so I cannot post that up on my YouTube. But he was a great guest. And next week, I'm planning on having Carl Duperret-Richer, who is another artist who is working in EGA, who is making Betrayed Alliance 2 with Slat Studio. So that's another fun thing. That reminds me, I'm not the only one making EGA adventure games, or even EGA text parser adventure games. There are a few of us out there. Kinney Games has a demo out that just launched this week called Signal and Echo, Iris is Missing, which is EGA text parser adventure game, mystery adventure game. Slat Studio, as I mentioned, has Betrayed Alliance 1 out right now, and Betrayed Alliance 2 currently in the works. There is someone, Cosmic Void 3, who released Blood Nova recently, also released a Tachyon Dreams, which is an EGA style adventure game as well. So there's a few of us out there doing this stuff. But yeah, here's the. I wanted to let this play for a little bit because a lot of the time I go through these sequences so quickly that we don't get to fully enjoy Dan's music. So I wanted to let Dan's waltz play for a little bit. So this is everyone at the table right now. There's how many? Yeah, nine characters, including yourself, with their looping, eating, and drinking animations, which I really love. Okay, and close-ups. Close-ups are another thing that I really enjoy doing that take much longer than the regular game art because so much more detail is involved. And right now I'm developing Chapter 5. I've got two close-ups I need to do because there's a kind of a cutscene that happens in Chapter 5. And so it's been taking me a while to just get these close-ups done because there's animated parts in them and they've got a lot more detail. But I like them a lot. Okay, so this is the brother-sister, and there's their yummy food, which looks like meat and salad and potatoes and a bun. And Nessa's just saying how about she's going to get her share of all this stuff, and her lawyer's going to help her. And Albert's going to start his fieldwork tomorrow morning for his assessment for the federal government. And here's a bit of I mentioned about a bit of the background of Crimson, Ontario being a garnet mining town. And they've been blasted, shut, and closed down when everyone kind of shut that stuff down. And that was actually before Evan's time. I mean, he might have been a kid, but he never would have really visited a mine when he was a child. Nancy trying to smooth things over. And Nessa being her usual charming self, criticizing someone else for no reason. This white garnet. So yes, white garnets do exist as well. Garnets can come in a bunch of different colors. And so Margot's got this lovely white garnet necklace. Nessa, yeah, one of those people who needs to top other people. So yeah, she's got a sapphire brooch. Real jewelry, bought it herself, which is kind of a self-own, as people would say, but she doesn't realize it. Nancy again, trying to smooth things over. So here's another close-up. Here we've got Margot, Nathan, and Albert just in the corner. Right, so this is a bit of the history of of Northern Ontario, and a lot of that stuff that was happening at this particular point in time. And yes, the land. This is all kind of real history, and I did really enjoy reading up on some of the history here. And the plots were divided up, and so Nathan knows a lot about this stuff. So about 50 years ago, 1914 minus about 50 years ago, the Canadian government, the Ontario government, annexed a bunch of land up north. And they promised the First Nations people in those areas a bunch of different things, like fishing rights, hunting, financial compensation, and they just didn't. The government did not really hold up their end of the bargain whatsoever. All these treaties, there's a number of treaties. I mean, there's like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different treaties that were signed that were not good deals, and then the not good deals were also not honored, unfortunately. And then, yeah, the settlers came. There was a bit of prosperity for them, and then they just left. So this happened quite often. Like, these places would get abandoned, and especially up north, where if it was like a mineral wealth idea, if the soil's not that good, then it's not really good to farm on, so you can't really make a living. You can't do subsistence farming in some of these areas, the way they wanted to anyway. And yeah, only Mr. Richards and his family stuck around. Nessa, again, always hated it here. So the backstory with Nessa is that she's the older sister, so she actually remembers their life back in England before they emigrated. And so Crimson Ontario couldn't really compare to her comfortable life in England. Relatively more comfortable, because living in a frontier where you have to kind of make your own way is rough. But Evan was born in Crimson, and so this is what he knows and is what he's comfortable with. So writing Nessa, I can kind of understand her point, where she was a kid who had no say in what her parents did, and she got brought to this place where things were much less comfortable than what she was used to. So she could, I'm not surprised that she's resentful. So yeah, these guys head to the bar for a nightcap, so that indicates to you where you might find them should you choose to go visit them. Albert, also in the bar, snifter with brandy and cigars. Cigars are another great thing in mysteries of every kind. Jack is in the kitchen clearing up. Margot eats a little and then heads up for a bath, to the ensuite bathroom that was attached to the master bedroom. Kimmy goes to her bedroom, your shared bedroom. Nathan and Evan are in the dining room. Right, here we go. So let's see. There's a few things we can do here. There's some things that can be missed. So it's not 100% linear of a game. I do want to encourage some replay value here and there, but the main gist of the story you can totally get through with kind of just playing through and following the notebook instructions. And that's another thing that I really liked about the Colonel's Bequest. When it was designed in a kind of a more modern way than the other Sierra adventure games, where you can just walk through the story and experience it and have an ending. I wanted to have my game also kind of be like that too. Alright, so help Jack. Yeah, somebody please help Jack. Then that is what your notebook is going to tell you. Help Jack with dishes. So that is the explicit thing that you need to do to progress the game, but you don't need to do that. That doesn't need to be the first thing that you do, and we're not going to do that. We were told that some people went into the bar. We can hear them from this. This is the dining room and the bar are connected, so we can listen, but we actually can't because Nathan and Evan are here. And here are these people hanging out. Brandy, cigar, nightcap. So we can potentially, there's a potential to listen to this conversation. Let's just, I mentioned you can visit a bunch of people here. So some things that I've put in the game that are missable, that are not necessary for the game, but also could be fun to see. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned, the game mentions that Kimmy's gone upstairs to the room, and so here she is. If you look at her, she's reading a bird book in bed. There she is. Margot is mentioned that Margot is going to take a bath, and so here we have Margot sitting by the bathtub. If we talk to Margot, look Margot. We actually haven't looked at her, so that's our first look at Margot. And she is drawing a bath, wrapped in a blue towel. And we can talk to Margot. And I actually really enjoyed just updating her sprites so that she's wearing a towel. And this is something you can completely miss. It's not essential at all, but just fun stuff that I like to add to really add to the setting of the game, because adventure games are a story, a setting, character, and I really wanted to make it feel like a place, a nice place to be, where people are alive and doing things. Oh yes, this is there's no innuendo here. Not to worry. Okay. Okay, no one else. I don't think I mentioned anyone else being anywhere else. Okay. So, I did mention that maybe that there's going to be a conversation between Evan and Nathan in the study after dinner, because we did hear them say that in their overheard conversation in the conservatory. And there's a couple ways you can do this, listening on this conversation. We're going to do the fun way. And the fun way is something that I did get from Dagger of Amon-Ra. So I guess it's kind of an Easter egg, but again, it's one of those Easter eggs that kind of works in this context, so it doesn't really need to be an Easter egg, it's just a fun thing. But we can hide. We got Nancy's outline beneath the tapestry and her little feet sticking out underneath. And I do this too, so you can skip these cutscenes completely if you want. I mean, after the first time around, you might want to. So I tried to add that as something you don't have to just click through everything or press enter through everything if you don't want to. But here they are having that private conversation. We'll see what we can do about the nosy Belgian. Oh, plans and schemes. I see. So here we go. Here's some details. So when Evan dies, he's saying that he's going to give this land to Nathan's family. But Ness is going to complicate that, I'm sure. Nessa. So lots of intrigue, maybe. Oh my gosh, it's 9:58. It doesn't look like I'm gonna make it to show you guys what the outside of the lodge looks like, but that'll be something that you can look forward to when the game releases. Hopefully, I say Q1 2023, but the closer we get to Q4 2022, I really don't know about Q1 2023 to release this game. It's my first game that I'm making, so I don't even know. And I assume and I feel like it's going to take me longer than I think, which it already has. So I'm going to quickly wrap this up. I'm going to go a little past 10 because I do want to show you guys the end of this. But we're going to help Jack. We missed a couple of conversations here and there, but that's stuff I can leave for you guys to do if you do try the demo, which is available right now during the event and anytime at all on the Crimson Diamond Steam page. Help Jack with dishes. Okay, let's do this. Right, more dishes than usual. Nancy's a helpful kind of person. Right. Mr. Richards needs a hot toddy before bed. Doesn't want to keep Margot waiting. I don't know. Forget about the last one. Okay. So now he's done with that. That is the chapter progress sound. So that is the end of the chapter until we finish the last thing in the notebook here. So which is eavesdrop on boudoir door. And that's kind of I mentioned explicitly saying what you need to do to finish the game, or finish the chapter, or finish whatever that stage of the game is. And so that's what we know we need to do. But and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep it this way, because I might want to make it even more clear to people, because this is one of those instances where you can't actually hear them that clearly behind this door. You need an item to do this. And this is kind of a place where people can occasionally get stuck. And so, yeah, the notebook in this case, it's not explicitly saying, but oh yeah, find an item to help with listening at doors, is what the note says. And so we kind of have to think about what that might be. And here's Kimmy sleeping, which is kind of a nice thing to see as well. So time has passed. Kimmy was reading in bed before, and now she's sleeping. Here's Corvus is sleeping as well. He's in his pajamas, I guess, because now he's wearing green. And yeah, this is so this is a bit of a puzzler where we need an item, but we're not sure what it is. People who have played other adventure games might have some familiarity with this type of item. But I'm wondering if we can ask people. Ask man about listening. Oh, see, there we can. Yeah, so there is. I have added some parser stuff where Nancy's having a little trouble with hearing. Hard of hearing at your age. I don't even remember reading this stuff. Writing this stuff. Some say glasses help with that. Hard of hearing glasses. That's almost a pun. Because glasses are for hard of seeing. Yes. Oh, well, I even said it. I just... It's kind of fun to surprise yourself. I don't know. Drinking glasses, not spectacles, see, ha ha. So... I wonder who else we can ask about that. Who else is awake? I don't think anyone else is awake. He's the only one, I think, awake? Okay. Well, anyway, drinking glasses is the big hint. And there are drinking glasses in the kitchen. So we're going to grab those. Okay. So we can search cupboard. Top, cupboard is drinking glasses. Bottom, pots and pans. Take a glass. Okay. Great. Here it is. Spotless. Jack is quite fastidious. Beautiful drinking glass. Okay. So now we can listen with glass. And they have a conversation that we could listen to that has a bit of innuendo. This is as spicy as the game gets, I would say, which is still pretty mild, and nothing is really shown or anything. So I'm just gonna go through this because we are running a little bit later than I said I would go for. But go through this real quick. So who knows what's going on here? You'll need to play the full game to find out what is going on here and what happens after. Uh-oh. Okay. And that is the end. So Margot leaves her boudoir, heads downstairs. You manage to sneak across the hall to your bedroom. What a long and intriguing night this has been. Okay. And so there is a hidden score system in the Crimson Diamond. I am not sure if I want to keep it hidden or if I should show it, but in other types of games like this, the score was hidden and kind of it gives you a rating at the end of each chapter to indicate how well you've done. So I think I've done pretty well, which I guess is not surprising. Although I did miss a few things, so I'm actually surprised that I got excellent still, because I know I missed 2 conversations at least in this demo. But okay, I will take it. Okay. Nancy has had quite a night, and she's going to go to bed. It's too bad that Kimmy and you have to leave on the train tomorrow morning, because wouldn't we just love to stick around and see what is going on here? But oh no, so this yeah. So this is my current working my current working version. So yeah, it doesn't just end and quit after that explosion. I guess you can actually see what I meant by how in the daytime there are the lighting is different. So the lighting coming in through these windows is now sunlight, which is warmer than the moonlight. So this is stuff that you cannot see. Oh, here's the Lauren Harris painting I was mentioning before. Um, but yeah, I mentioned the sunlight's coming through the windows now, which I think is best represented in the conservatory. So this room is very much changed since nighttime because it's the one that has the most windows in it. But unfortunately, you're going to have to wait until the full game to explore the lodge in the daytime and the exterior of the lodge in the daytime. But thank you so much for watching me play my own demo, and I hope this was interesting for you. If you have any questions at all about the development of this game so far, I can stick around for a little bit in chat and just stay and answer anything if anyone does want to ask me anything. If you're interested in this project, please do wishlist it on Steam, the Crimson Diamond store page. There's also a newsletter I mentioned, the Crimson Gazette, that comes out monthly. You can have that directly delivered to your email box if you subscribe on thecrimsondiamond.com. I stream at a _maple mystery on Twitch. I do that on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And next week we're going to have a special guest, Carl, who is the artist for Betrayed Alliance 2, who also works in EGA, the medium of low-res EGA art. So I'm going to have plenty to talk to him about and lots in common. And also, of course, Patreon. Yes, Patreon. I've got a Patreon. I'm running my holiday deal right now. If you are a $5 Patreon patron, I will send you a holiday card, physical holiday card in the actual mail. And if you're a new $5 Patreon patron, you get extra stuff. You get last year's card, you get a postcard of the year before's card, and a postcard of the view of the Crimson Diamond, Crimson Lodge at nighttime. All that fun stuff. And lastly, I do put all my videos up on YouTube. So if you just tuned in to this kind of midway, I will be putting this up on my YouTube channel at some point. And that is all. You can find links to everything at thecrimsondiamond.com. So all that stuff, you can find me also on Twitter at Julia Minamata. But yeah, everything is on thecrimsondiamond.com to find if you want to find me there. If you want to shoot me an email, all that stuff is again on the same website. Please enjoy the rest of the event. I hope you play a lot of demos, play a lot of games, enjoy the sales, because there's some really good sales out right now, up to 80% off in some games. I want to thank Application Systems Heidelberg for hosting this event. It's really wonderful and important for indie game devs to get these platforms and get these opportunities to promote ourselves and to show our games. The good thing about right now is that it's so much easier to make games and distribute games. The downside to that is it's a lot harder to get yourself in front of people. So having events like this on Steam are one of the absolute best ways that we get to share our projects and hopefully get people to wishlist so that when we launch our game, it gets in front of more eyeballs and lets us kind of hopefully make enough money to make another one, because I have more ideas. I already have my sequel idea in mind, making some notes about that as well, and I'm excited to work on that. And depending on how well the Crimson Diamond does, I will either be able to focus on that 100% of my time, 75%, 50%, 25, 10% of my time after this launches. So I'm really hoping that people will enjoy it when it comes out fully. I hope people will enjoy the demo as it is now and can give me feedback about how to make it better. I'm super open to all that. And let me know what you think, and hope to see you on Crimson Tuesdays. Hope to see you out there somewhere. Twitter, Facebook as well. I've got a Facebook fan page as well. But have a wonderful night. Happy Crimson Thursday, and I will see you at some point somewhere else, hopefully. And enjoy. All right, bye.